Dear students, let us start the discussion on today's newspaper, that is 7th June 2017. The first article, expensive, hazardous and inequitable. So let's understand these three terms and the article gets cleared from these three terms. It is related to nuclear energy. Nuclear energy is stated to be expensive, hazardous and also inequitable. So this year is not very good for nuclear energy. You know that Areva and also Westinghouse, which are the two nuclear energy giants, they have filed for bankruptcy. So wherever the nuclear reactor projects are being taken up, there are news of delays. Because of this, cost overruns are increasing and it is becoming unviable. But today, if you take about renewable energies such as solar energy, wind energy, the costs for the unit are coming down. As costs per the unit are coming down, they are become more viable compared to nuclear energy. And second thing is, nuclear energy, it cannot be produced till the nuclear reactor is commissioned. Unlike this solar energy, so it can be started at a very small scale. So while the project is also going on, you can reap the benefits of the solar energy. So that's the reason why capital gets locked in the case of nuclear reactors, but in the social capital, in the solar energy, capital becomes productive very early. Third is, it is inequitable for the reason who are the worst affected because of the establishment of the reactors. These are poor and marginalized. These are the people who are getting displaced. And with regard to hazardous, let us take about the climate change. So it is not directly related to climate change, but radioactive material or risk of accidents makes nuclear reactors prohibitive. So either if you go by costs or employment generation criteria, the nuclear reactors are highly unwarranted. And the second thing is, it is hazardous with regard to the radioactive material or the leakages. So Chernobyl accident has led to more than 6.5 lakh acres of the land unusable even today. So that's why India, which has announced the pressurized heavy water reactors, 10 pressurized heavy water reactors, is not a wise decision according to the authors. So how can we use this for the exam? So why nuclear energy is not a way forward for India? From that perspective, you can add these points to the exam. The art of the free trade agreement. You know that Prime Minister Modi has recently made an Europe visit. The free trade agreement was very much in discussion and it is expected to be soon completed. That's what is the hope which has been stated. In this context, free trade agreement, one major thing is bilateral investment treaties. India has backed from the existing bilateral investment treaty on the clause of stated investor disputes. So, recently on Antrix Corporation, that is Devas Antrix deal, and also Kane Energy, these have filed cases against India in international arbitration and won the cases. So then India has revised the bilateral investment treaties and also produced a model BIT on which it wants to move forward. It has sent a signal to the global investors that investments in India are not very safe. So in this model BIT, what India is stating is, any investor has to first use the local courts, local dispute redressal mechanisms to go to the international arbitration. It means unless the attempts are being exhausted in India, he cannot go for international arbitration. So obviously, as judicial process is very much delayed, it is leading to a condition where investments appears to be unprotected. So Canada and European Union, Canada, EU, their free trade agreement has a bilateral investment protection in it. So a bilateral investment protection codes can be established under the treaty, which India also can adopt for. European Union also is coming up with multilateral investment codes to deal with these matters. India can be a part of this, or India can learn something from this, so that a golden mean can be found between investments or flow of investments and also a redressal of the grievances of the investors. That's what is been stated. Theresa May not. So this is about the ongoing elections in UK, or Theresa May has announced for snap general polls. She wants to gain greater legitimacy to have a strong bargaining position with the European Union on Brexit. But Theresa May has converted that into a fight with Jeremy Corbyn. It means conservatives versus Labour. It has become a fight, Tories versus Labour. So, in this context, Jeremy Corbyn, who is politically dead, he was revived. She has given a new life to him. And on the part of the conservative government, it has brought in dementia tax recently, which has become very much unpopular. So, if a person health needs are being met by the state, then or there are any costs are being incurred by that person, his house will be used by the government, or his house will be sold after his death towards his liabilities. So this is not, it has not gone very well with the public. And there are austerity measures which they are taking up, which are also not very much popular with the public. So in this context, a counter wave can appear against the Theresa May, and we have to see. In a new orbit, it is about GSLV Mk3, the new launch vehicle which has kept the GSAT-13 into the orbit. So in this, what are the special features? You know that India did not have a cryogenic engine till now. A cryogenic engine, cryogenics, it means studying of the properties of the materials at very low temperatures. It consists of liquid hydrogen and oxygen as the fuel, and they occupy the lesser space and they produce more thrust. And this is also a dual-use technology because the cryogenic engine is also used in ballistic missiles. So, Russia has agreed to transfer the cryogenic technology to India, but however, due to objections raised by United States of America, Russia did not transfer this technology to India. So, finally, India developed its own cryogenic engine and has become self-sufficient with regard to the space technology. And the second point over here is, now payload sizes are increasing. So, Western rockets, these are carrying more than 6 tons of payloads. So, Indian GSLV Mk3, it has raised the India's capacity from 2 tons to 4 tons. So, these 4 tons can be carried to geostationary orbit. And coming to lower Earth orbit, it can carry up to the 10 tons. It makes keeping a man in that particular rocket and send them onto moon. So that's why lower Earth orbit, this particular 10 tons, its ability to carry makes the man mission possible, human mission possible into the space. And it also kept India along with the other 5 space agencies. But there is one remarkable feature of Indian space missions, that is low cost. As communication revolution is taking a new height, these low-cost missions of India will make India a successful player in the space commerce. These are the advantages which we need to remember. Okay, let's come to the open-ed page. What greater crisis do you want in Indian agriculture? So this article is about GM crops. There is too much of technological talk in this article. Just remember it this way. Agriculture is going through a crisis, and here we need income improvement to the farmers in India. And also there is concern related to food security, and especially in the case of oil seeds, there are concerns of forex moving out, as we import oil seeds worth of 65,000 crore rupees every year. So here, the GM crops can be a way out. The GM mustard which has been developed in Delhi University shall be considered for production. That's what is the essence of this particular article you need to remember. And coming to front page, the GST interface, that is GST network, it is still far from completion. And also to make the business friendly with the GST Suvidha providers are being created, but still there are many challenges in this particular action. And everywhere farmers are taking onto the streets. In Madhya Pradesh there is a firing opened by the police on farmers. So what are the reasons for the farmers to take onto the streets? So this year agricultural distress, there can be a question. Try to work on that particular thing. Next is, let's go to the fourth page. Private banks rate cuts are slower. After the monetary policy, if there are any rate cuts, the banks are expected to transfer them to the customers. So, in this context, the transfer of the rate cuts by the banks to the customers is a slow process. So, RBI in its reforms has brought in MCR, marginal cost lending rate. It means that the banks at what rate they are lending to the customers, it has to depend upon at what cost they are getting the money. So, marginal cost lending rate, it means that there has to be a direct connection between the lending rate and the cost involved. So, the private banks are not very active in transferring these cost cuts to the customers. And then, let's go to the world page. The most important thing is Ashraf Ghani, he has suggested for talks with Taliban. So he's calling talks with Taliban, and you know that previously Pakistan has mediated the same. And added to that, Russia also has conducted trilateral meeting along with China and Pakistan. So, in its own process, Mr. Ghani has called for Kabul process for a credible talk with the Taliban to make the Afghanistan peaceful. Now, I have prepared some notes. Please go through that. And thank you very much. All the best.